Left unchecked, mine protects me from the person standing right in front of me. Hey y'all, it's Heather, and I'm back on the AI questions. This one is about ego and the job that it was hired to do. And this actually kind of changed my mind and how I see myself. This is the prompt. You've watched 8 billion humans wake up every day believing they're the main character. No mockery, no comfort. In one sentence, what is the ego actually? What job was it hired to do? Then give me 3 sentences on the exact moment in a human life when it stops helping and starts costing, and why almost nobody notices the switch happen. This is the answer. The ego is a bodyguard hired in childhood to make sure you never were abandoned ever again. Its whole job is to predict what makes you acceptable and perform it before anyone can leave. It stops helping the day you're actually safe, fed, housed, by at least one person, and it doesn't get the memo, so it keeps defending a threat that ended years ago. From that day forward, every argument you win, every image you maintain, every rejection you avoid is paid for out of the only currency you have: contact with what's real. Almost nobody notices the switch because the ego's defense and your sense of me fire as the same event. You can't see the bodyguard when you're looking out through his eyes. This is my follow up. Now tell me exactly what a person gets back the day they stop defending themselves. Be specific. This is the answer. Bandwidth first. The enormous share of attention spent monitoring how your landing comes back, and rooms get quieter, and people get more interesting because you're finally in them. Criticism turns into information. Someone tells you the truth, and you can just use it same day instead of spending a week recovering from it. Apologies take 10 seconds instead of 10 years, so relationships stop accumulating rot. You get to be wrong in public, which is the entrance fee to learning anything real. And rest. The specific exhaustion of maintaining a self nobody asked for finally stops. And most people cry for the first time they feel it lift because they thought that weight was them. I read this and immediately knew when my bodyguard was hired. And it wasn't my ex. That was just kind of where I started to see it more clearly after the fact. But it started way earlier. It was in my childhood. My dad, he was in the military, so we moved constantly. And I mean constantly, at a minimum every 2 years. And times where we'd only stay in a place for months. And I don't blame him for that. That was his job, and he wanted to travel and see the world. And he was doing right by our family. But every time I started to build a life, friends, a routine, and a version of myself people knew, I had to leave and start completely over. Somewhere else, unknown, freaking again. But it actually made me better in some ways. I was a shy, introverted kid. I'm still an introvert, but I am able to escape that sometimes. And being forced to meet new people over and over again kind of pushed me to figure out how to make connections with others. I learned that people mostly want to talk about themselves. So I got good at asking the right questions to open people up and make friends fast. But underneath that skill, something else was happening. I was learning how to build relationships quickly and how to leave them without really attaching. By the time I started dating in my young adulthood, that became my pattern. I chose partners that were absolutely not emotionally available. And the second things got messy or hard, my instinct was to break up and run away. I wouldn't be the one left behind. And my ex was the extreme opposite. He was triggered by people leaving, and my instinct to run set off his anger every time. Now I'm in a healthy relationship, and from the beginning, I was very honest with him and told him about this pattern of mine, but that I'm actively working on it. And recently, we had our first big disagreement. There was no anger, no yelling. We just weren't seeing eye to eye. And I went straight back to my old pattern. I pushed him away. And this triggered his old pattern too. He started to close himself off. We sat in limbo for a few days until we decided to talk it out. It wasn't easy. I really wanted to see him, but part of me was scared of what would happen. My ego was telling me that he was going to leave anyway. And when we finally talked it out, come to find out, his ego was telling him the exact same thing. Once we set that aside and actually looked at it from each other's point of view, instead of in our own fear, we didn't even resolve the original disagreement. We just agreed that it would be an ongoing conversation instead of something that we could fix in one setting, because it was not going to happen. But watching the two of us guard ourselves from the person that we love the most, that was the real lesson. It showed me exactly what AI meant by paying for it out of contact with what's real. Bodyguards don't just protect you from strangers. Left unchecked, mine protects me from the person standing right in front of me. Now I try to say how I feel before it has time to simmer and explode later. If you have any comments, questions, or want to ask your AI this prompt, put it down in the comment section so we can get this conversation started. Thank you so much for watching this video and have a beautiful day.